Okay, in part 3, we're going to be running Egeria Intro Part 3, Dr. Egeria Intro Part 3, and you can see that we're going to be adding more to the same glossary. We're going to be adding some more terms, and in fact, what you'll notice that we've been doing all along is that the glossary that we are creating, which is called the Egeria Markdown Glossary, is in fact defining concepts and the terms and the commands for Dr. Egeria itself. So in fact, we're using Dr. Egeria to document Dr. Egeria. Okay, so you can see that we're going to create a new term, display, and we're going to create another term, validate. And so these are the processing directives that we've been talking about. And another term, process. They're all in the owning glossary for Egeria Markdown. And in fact, we're putting them in some of these categories. We're putting this in processing Dr. Egeria Markdown, giving it some usage information. And now we're going to be putting in some commands, such as create glossary. There's create category. And in fact, in this particular case, what you see is that in the usage, I'm putting in the same table that we saw earlier that defines what a category is. What are the attributes that are part of the create category command? And so we can embed the Markdown directly within an attribute that we store in Egeria. And so here's the update category and so forth. And you can see that I've been doing this. And these are all of the command information that you see. So now let's go and process this. So Dr. Egeria, and the directive is, we'll just go ahead and process it this time. And you can see that we're processing each of those commands. Great. And so now let's take a look at our glossary, list our terms. We're going to look in Egeria Markdown, table format, and you can see all of the terms that we just put in. And so here's command, create category. This is the qualified name, so there's no local qualifier in front, but the type is a term. The display name is the name of the glossary, create glossary, and it has the version number. And here's the display name here. So we can see that we have all of the information that we expected. You may have noticed that right here that we have three different output formats that we can see. One is table, one is form, and one is report. I've been extending a number of the PyEgeria commands, or the HeyEgeria commands, to support direct markdown output from the command as well as displaying it on the console. So let's give that a quick try. So let's run the same thing that we just did and say Egeria Markdown. And now, instead of saying table, which is the default, I will say form. And if we do form, what you can see is it generates a file for us, a Markdown file. And here's our file. Let's open it up with the Markdown previewer. And this is the output. So instead of getting a table output to the console, I get a Markdown output. And it does it such that I can easily edit this Markdown output to make changes to the glossary terms. And so this is just a really quick way to generate a Dr. Egeria file where we can update it and make corrections or extensions to the terms that we have in our glossary. Pretty neat. The last way of presenting it is very similar. Let's just do that really quick, and we'll say Egeria Markdown. And now if we say report, it generates a new file for us. It'll show up in a second here. There it is. Let's take a look at that with the Markdown previewer. In this case, what it does is it presents the information as a Markdown report. So the intention is that this may be something that you want to share with your colleagues or use in a presentation or keep in your document vault. And so it's a quick way to generate starter content that can be embedded within a larger document. Okay, to wrap up this brief series, let's summarize. Dr. Egeria defines a way to use standard Markdown notations in a text file to exchange information with Egeria. Effectively, it's an open, domain-specific Markdown language for interacting with Egeria that can be incorporated into larger text documents or Jupyter notebooks. The Dr. Egeria content can be created offline, and connectivity is only required for processing. And it's processed using the HeyEgeria commands. During processing, Dr. Egeria produces an output file that is designed to be further updated to make it easy to round trip the updating and the modification of Dr.Egeria content. So that's it. We think Dr.Egeria is a really useful way for anybody to interact with Egeria. And there's going to be a lot more features and commands coming. So stay tuned. Thanks for listening. Bye now.